We were about to be foreclosed on our home. And that was a pivotal moment for me because my mom needed help and I wasn't in a position to help her. Bro, I never wanted to be in that position again ever in my life. Shortly after that, everyone else is asleep and I hear noises, voices, stuff going on out in the garage. Guy gets out of the passenger seat of the van. And bro, I'd never been in a fight in my life, but I had tons of aggression, dude. I was angry, like literally just an angry person. These dudes are still in my mom's van. I already know that shit's going down in my house financially, so I'm just angry, you know? And I come around the front of the truck and cheap shot this dude and tackle him to the ground and start throwing haymakers, bro, with like everything that I have.
And these are grown dudes.
You know, it was a grown dude. I forgot about the other dude, though. And I'm barely holding my own with the one. The other guy gets out of the van, comes over, tackles me off his partner, and they both start lighting me up, bro. Broke my nose. They start trying to calm me down, and they're like, "Sir, calm down, calm down. We're not here to steal your mom's van." They said that they're there to repossess my mom's van.
All right, guys, welcome to another episode of The Report. Today, I got a good friend of mine, someone who's inspired me throughout my journey in real estate investing. He's got 4,000 multifamily units, an owner of $400 million of real estate. I got my man, Tyler Deveraux. Tyler, welcome to the show, brother.
Rich, what's up, bro? It's so good to be here, man. Thank you for having me.
Dude, so good to fucking connect, man. You flew up from Maui. We had a nice little dinner last night at Ironside and got to connect. So, dude, always good to see you, man. I know we first met on my old podcast, the apartment investing podcast, the multifamily takeoff podcast. And dude, this is, I think, back in 2020. And we met, it was virtual on Zoom. And I was like, dude, I knew right away. I'm like, this guy's got great energy, so inspiring. And now we're good friends, man.
Oh, bro, I agree. There was this connection. I got to tell you, I think I told you last night, but I'm pretty sure, bro, that was my first podcast I had ever been on. And I remember like it was yesterday, like sitting in my office, like nervous, bro, like nervous.
You didn't seem nervous.
I'm grateful for that. I don't think it was on camera though, which I was very grateful for too.
Yeah.
Or no, was it? Maybe it was. But regardless, I was freaking nervous, bro. And then I remember not long after that, you guys dripped some of your best, like some of your biggest takeaways from the podcast for the year. And you chose something that I said, and I can't remember exactly what it was, but I want you to know, like for me, that was huge for me.
Yeah.
Like it meant the world. So thank you, bro.
Yeah, man. And then, fast forward today, you've obviously continued to build your portfolio on the investing side, but you launched the multifamily mindset, and you're helping aspiring real estate investors and apartment investors get into multifamily, and you got a network of over 3,000, which is awesome, man. And that's got to feel good, right?
Oh, bro, that's the best. Our students have acquired just under, so in those what, not almost exactly 3 years. They've acquired just shy of $1 billion of real estate, man.
Yeah,
which is
just shy of $1 billion in 3 years.
Yep.
Wow.
I know, bro. It's like the fun. Like when we were calculating up those numbers, it's like that's fun, bro.
Dude, that's got to feel good, man.
But it's fun to see you grow too, bro. Because I remember when we did the podcast, you were still air traffic controller, right?
Yeah, I was brand new. I was very, very raw. I was still trying to navigate and kind of figure out my own journey. I was literally just getting started, and I remember going out to Maui, November of last year. We connected, we had dinner. But dude, I don't know, man. It's crazy when you find something you love, like how quickly the growth can happen. And I'm sure, obviously you're a walking testament to that, as well as a lot of the folks in your group.
Yeah, it is though. It's the consistency. You're very consistent. Like it didn't just happen all of a sudden. Like you became obsessed with it just like I did. And then you consistently study, you consistently execute, and all of a sudden you're an overnight success, Yeah. It's beautiful.
I know, right? So I want to go back a little bit because I think your story is, unique. A lot of folks get into real estate investing. There's different paths, of course, but you were, brought up in a lower middle class single family, right? Your mom was a single mother raising you, and I believe there's a story in there of like her being robbed when you were a kid, right?
Bro, great memory, man. Yeah. So I grew up. My mom's a single mom, 4 kids, and best of the best, bro. Like, it's interesting. I just officiated my nephew's wedding, and so it's the first time that I've seen my dad in a long time. He was there, and I love my dad, bro. Like, my dad is a good dude. He is. He's a good dude. He just made some mistakes, And it's interesting because for such a long time, I had a lot of, I think, anger in my heart, for those mistakes. What's interesting is I have shifted that into, I actually believe it's my biggest blessing because it forced me to become who I became. There's a couple pivotal moments for me. One was I was sloughing school one day, came home from school, and my mom, bro, is the happiest person you've ever met. Like, seriously, the happiest lady ever. She would always say, like, her biggest thing was like, man, happiness or positivity breeds happiness and happiness breeds success. So she was just a happy person. No matter all the trials, all the struggles, everything, she was happy. And I remember sloughing school, coming home, and my mom was in her bedroom just crying. And I wasn't expecting her to be home, first off, and I definitely wasn't expecting her to be in there crying. And she wasn't expecting me to be home. And I just remember having a conversation with her of like, well, what's going on? Was informed a little bit about just financial things and what was going on. And we were about to be foreclosed on our home. And that was a pivotal moment for me because my mom needed help and I wasn't in a position to help her. And I never wanted to be in that position again ever in my life. But I didn't know what to do. Shortly after that, it's just a shitty day, bro. It was like the state semifinals. So the semifinal to go to the state championship in football. Mm-hmm. We lost that game. I got kicked out of that game.
Well, how come?
Because I was talking lots of shit. I was, dude. I had said something to the ref that I shouldn't have said, maybe a couple Effenheimers. And then I tackled the dude. And when I tackled the dude, I started throwing haymakers underneath the pile, thinking that nobody would be able to see. And they saw. And I got thrown out. So
what year were you in high school?
I was a sophomore.
Okay.
Yeah. So then I'm sitting at the house and I'm just replaying everything in my head because I felt like I let the seniors down, like just a tough day. And everyone else is asleep. And I hear noises, voices, stuff going on out in the garage. And so I'm the man of the house, bro. And I took that super serious. So I jump off the couch, open up the door of the garage. And there was two guys sitting in my mom's van, driver's seat, passenger seat, peeling out of the driveway, stealing my mom's van. Mm. And that was a pivotal moment for me because I chased after those individuals. And to shorten the story a little bit, just the events that transpired that night opened my mind to a ton. They chased them down, probably not the best idea. Mm-hmm. But the only way to out of my neighborhood, it was like this U-shaped road, okay? So I cut across my neighbor's lawn. I'm just going, bro. I don't think, literally, I'm just running. I'm just in motion. I don't think I'm really going to do anything, but I'm just in motion. Because my mom's working multiple jobs at this point to have that. She's literally working as a realtor, and then she's working graveyard shifts at the post office. And she just so happened to just be off that night.
And the house literally is about to be foreclosed on.
Yeah, and I had just found that out, wow. Literally right before.
How'd you find out?
That's when I came home from school. I was sloughing, and I found those details out.
Got it.
I chase them down. I go across the street, or I get through my neighbor's yards, and there's this truck parked across the street. And so I go and I hide, and the van's coming around the corner. So I go and I hide behind the front passenger corner of that truck. And the van comes down in it. And I don't know what I'm going to do at this point. I don't know if I'm going to chuck a shoe or what. I don't really know. But they parked the van behind the truck. That was their truck that they drove to our neighborhood to steal my mom's van. And so now the guy gets out of the passenger seat of the van, comes around to the driver's side of the truck. And bro, I'd never been in a fight in my life. My motto growing up was I just want to love and be loved. I had long hair. I have one tattoo my whole life. It says love one another. I just wanted to love and be loved, right? But I had tons of aggression, dude. I was angry, literally just an angry person. I had lost the game, been kicked out. These dudes are still in my mom's van. I already know that shit's going down in my house financially, so I'm just angry, And I come around the front of the truck and cheap shot this dude and tackle him to the ground and start throwing haymakers, bro, with everything that I have.
Good for you, man.
It was funny because I remember it was yesterday. I literally remember being on top of him being I'm becoming a man right now. I'm going to take this van back to my family with my bare hands,
And these are grown dudes.
It was a grown dude. I forgot about the other dude, though. So I totally forgot that there was two. I'm barely holding my own with the one, but I cheap shot at him and I'm on top of him, so I'm at least holding my own. The other guy, though, this is where things change. This is where the story spins. The other guy gets out of the van, comes over, tackles me off his partner, and they both start lighting me up. Broke my nose. And towards the end of it, they start trying to calm me down, and they're like, "Sir, calm down. We're not here to steal your mom's van." They said that they're there to repossess my mom's van, is what it was. But I didn't know what that meant, bro. I didn't even know what that meant. Repossess? I don't know what that means. And that was huge. That was I used to remember sitting on the curb, and my nose is busted, I'm all bloody. They have to go get my mom, obviously. And I remember when my mom coming over, and now as a parent, like just thinking, like, dude, my mom's been dealt a tough hand, and she's trying her best to do everything she can. And to have to see your kid on the curb with a busted up nose because you didn't pay the car bill is like, bro, breaks my freaking heart for my mom. But bro, this is a huge thing for me though, because my mentality that day was like, poor pity me. Like, my life sucks. You know, why am I in this position? But it was close individuals in my life that helped me understand, like, no, bro, poor pity you. Your mom just had to witness all this because of all the things that she's been dealt. And this is when I became, this is one time in my life where like I felt like I started to become who I am today. And you have multiple moments like that. But that was that moment where I was like, no, dude, my job is I need to change the narrative for my family. Like it's my responsibility to change the narrative for my family. And it's my responsibility not to be given, but to give. And so I need to put myself in a position to make sure that when somebody needs help, I'm in a position to do it and that I can help. So I started a business and it's been that mentality since.
What does your mom just think of like everything that you've built today? I mean, she's got to be a very proud mother, yeah?
Yeah. Bro, I had such a cool experience.
You guys are so close?
So close. Yeah. My mom is the best, dude. Like the best. So she was just there at the wedding too.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. And I had such a cool experience because that story I just told you, my mom used to think that like, that was like an embarrassing story. Mm-hmm. Like that made her weak is what she would say. And I'd be like, what? So it's like, Mom, I want you to come to one of my training. I do some like trainings where I teach people how to buy apartments, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm doing one this weekend. And so I had her come to one. I didn't tell anybody in the event that was my mom. It was we did this event in, Tampa Bay, Florida. Nobody knew that she was my mom. And I told that story. It wasn't until the last day, bro, I told that story so that she could see how people reacted to the story. And it was, bro, it is one of those core memories I'll never forget. Like for everyone standing up, give my mom a standing ovation for all that she's overcome and all that she's done. It's been very fun and she's very proud for sure.
Wow.
But I would never be where I'm at today if she didn't have the mentality that she did. And
dude, that's powerful, man. Yeah. I think, a lot of us get up and use different things to motivate us, right? I always try to find reasons to stay up and stay motivated, and I'm always looking for some sort of edge. And so I think that's so powerful that you went through that at a young age. A lot of folks would kind of use that as an excuse to play the victim role and never kind of develop or grow into anything. But you took the opposite approach, which I love and I admire. I know that you had a background kind of being close with Dave Lindahl growing up, right? And that was kind of like your early mentor into the multifamily side. Dave's got one of my favorite books, a couple of them, right?
Yeah.
Multifamily Millions, and then he's got another one, Emerging Real Estate Markets,
Yeah.
two of my favorite real estate books.
Mine too, bro.
Yeah, both by Dave Lindahl. Suggest the listeners go read those books. They're very, very good. But anyway, so tell me a little bit about like early on, like you got into real estate, I know on the flipping side, but tell me a little about the multifamily. How did you get into your first multifamily deal?
If you are a busy professional and don't have time to invest in real estate but still want to participate in the passive income and tax benefits, my team, Summers Capital, is buying a lot of boutique hotels right now. We source the deals, we renovate the properties, and we even do all the day-to-day management, making it truly hands-off for our investors. If you want to learn more to see if we can help you, go to summerscapital.com/invest to book a call with our team. Again, that's summerscapital.com/invest. Now back to the show.
Love it. I love Dave, by the way. So Dave, if you're listening to this, I love that dude. I would never be where I'm at without Dave. Like Dave, I'll tell you what Dave did. First off, he educated me. He enhanced my belief on what was possible. Because I want to drill home on what you said real fast, though. Because you said you didn't play the victim card. You took a different approach. And I did, but I also played the victim card in many aspects of my life, bro. Because I used to tell this story that I was in the position that I was, because I've seen lots of struggle past that struggle. Lots of them. And I would always circulate it back to, well, I am here because of this, right? Like one of the quotes that you had on your wall right here, you will grow to the level of your constraints, not your potential. Mm-hmm. My constraint was that my belief was that I was limited in where I could go because of what I had experienced. My past was now prohibiting my future growth. And that was literally how I viewed it. And there was this unlock, and there's been multiple of them, but there was this unlock where it was like, no, dude, that is actually your unique ability to help with future growth. And it was my wife who helped me unlock this, which is like everything in your past is what made you become who you are. And if you just viewed it that way, you could become more than you are. And I'm so grateful for her for unlocking that in me to not play the victim card anymore. And that's when the biggest unlock in my life happened, which is right around the same time that I started multifamily. And I believe one of the reasons that multifamily took off for me is because I called my dad at that point, thanked him for being who he was so that I could become who I am. And I removed hate from my heart. Like, I love my dad. I'm grateful for who he is as a person and everything he's done in my life. And I sincerely believe, bro, that removing that hate has opened me up to receive more. So that was a pivotal moment in my life. And that was literally right at the same time that I started all this, multifamily side. So your question, how did I lead into it, or how did I get into that, bro?
Yeah, and real quick, I mean, like you talked about unlocking a lot of these limiting beliefs or playing the victim card. I think it's huge, you know. And unfortunately, I think the majority of America, you know, they'd like to play the victim card. And I think in today's age with all the social stuff that's going on right now, I think it's easy to kind of fall into that. You know, a lot of people are like, oh, I can't go to the gym, I can't work out, I can't, you know, focus on fitness because I'm depressed or because I have anxiety. But it's like, no, like, you know, some people, I get it. But for the majority of Americans, it's like, no, like, you're depressed because you're not going to the gym.
Yep.
You know, and so there's two ways to look at it.
Totally.
You know?
It's interesting because it's even think about even what you said, because you said, for some, I get it, right? But so my dad right now has tremors. Okay, so I'll tie it in this way. My dad has tremors, so he's shaking a lot. And my sister is a huge heart, bro, huge heart. And her conversation with my dad is like, "How are you doing? Are you okay?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm good." No, like, but like, how do you feel? My conversation with my dad is this. I'm chatting with him. We're getting, you know, water at the wedding. He's holding 2 glasses of water. He's about to take it back to his table, and he's shaking. And I was like, "Hey, you better not spill that shit on my Jordans right now. I'll be pissed." And he starts to laugh, dude, because now he just wants to joke about it. You know, like, he just wants to joke about it. And I'm like, man, hey, why? Because he doesn't look as good. Dad, I love you if you're listening to this too, but he needs to start working back. He needs to work out again. And I was telling him this. And he's like, man, well, my tremors and this and that. I was like, that's bullshit, dude. I don't feed it. I don't even want to feed into it. It's like, listen, so what? So what? Like, what's next? Like, you gotta be able to focus on what is serving instead of what is not serving. I don't want to be patronized at all. I want someone to tell me what they see in me and what they believe in me, and be blind to any excuses that I try to feed them, and continue to drive me towards growth. That's who I want to surround myself with, you know?
Yeah. And I, you know, look at this in the real estate investing side. I mean, how often do you hear folks that come up and they're like, oh, they see like a little success, or they see someone that's bought some deals and like, man, must be nice. You know, I can never do that because this is kind of my background and this is what I do. And they're just like limiting themselves like that, you know? And, you know, I used to kind of think this way before I got into the real estate investing. I used to think, man, like, you know, I'll never be able to own one of these buildings, and I'll never be able to, you know, do this as well. I didn't know it was possible. And a lot of it, you know, stems from like who I was hanging out with, like the people I was surrounding myself with. But also, I think, you know, society, for whatever reason, you know, as a kid growing up, they don't tell you that real estate investing and entrepreneurism is even a possibility, right? And so for me, I didn't know it was possible until I started meeting the right people.
Yeah. I knew nobody that owned an apartment building, bro. Nobody. It wasn't even on my realm of possibility. So it's like, you talk about Dave. I had never read a book about it. I had never read any of his books at all. I ended up at a seminar that I'm learning about it, and I was like, you are what? Holy shit. I had no idea the model was even possible. So you put yourself in the right room. Being in the right room, bro, it's
huge. It's everything.
Huge, man. Yeah.
It's everything. And there's different rooms for each level too, you know? And I also believe, like, I'm learning now, like, you know, when you get to that next level, it's like, well, you gotta pivot a little bit of the room if you want to continue to go to the next level.
That's it.
You know?
The intimidating part about that is the more you climb, the more you grow, you get in these different rooms. And when you're first in the room, you don't know what to do in the room. It's like, how do I maximize this room? What do I do? Where's my place in this? It's almost like this, for me at least, maybe I'm just speaking for myself, but it's like this identity gap. Because all of a sudden you reach this new level and you're in this room. And I'll give you an example of this is when I went to Cardone's event. When I was at Cardone's event, I'm in this room, and it's a powerful room, bro. Powerful room. And I'm hearing everybody talk about their stories. And what I tend to do is downplay my story. So I'm hearing everybody talk about their stories. I'm like, holy shit, what am I doing here, man? Like, these are beasts, and they are beasts.
And just to clarify that, so that room, that was a mastermind that Grant threw for a bunch of younger, up-and-coming real estate investors, entrepreneurs in the space that were building out their brands, right? And he invited, what, like 30 of you guys?
Yeah, 30, 40.
Yeah,
and it was a marketing.
You were one of them?
I was one of them. It was a marketing event. So it wasn't even multifamily or real estate. It was more marketing.
What was his objective with that mastermind? Because he just hosted it for free for you guys, right?
Yeah, collaboration. He has this goal. He had this goal. And I can't remember the exact goal that he had, but he wanted to do an event that had a X number of people. I honestly cannot remember. But he's like, I realize that I'm never going to get there by myself. I'm only going to get there with collaboration. And you here, I know that if we collaborate together, I can get there. We can get there. It'll benefit you and it'll benefit me. That's why he did it.
That's powerful.
So, I learned a ton, bro. I learned so much, for sure. But I'm in there and I'm downplaying. Like, I'm downplaying my side. And so I was like, I'll be honest, I walked away from that event. And even though I learned so much and I connected with a bunch of people, I also feel like, well, I know that I didn't maximize the event. But at that point, it's like, it's not because I can't maximize an event like that. It's because, dude, I had never been in a room like that.
With so many big players.
At all. And bro, I was one of the biggest. That's what's crazy. Like, I was one of the biggest in the room as far as leads go, as far as my list goes, as far as my assets, as far as all of that, the revenue with me and my companies. I was one of the biggest that I didn't know until it was my turn to tell my story. And I was like, oh shit. Okay. Like, I was literally like, I think top 5 revenue wise in the room, which was crazy to me, but my belief wasn't there, right? So the results were there, but how I viewed myself wasn't there. That's why I limited my production within the event. But I learned from that, bro.
And what would you have done differently?
So here's what I would do. I had a list of a couple people I wanted to connect with, but I didn't have a reason why I wanted to connect with them or how I could provide value to them. I was just like, these are a couple people that I know are there. I'll talk to them. So I had no purpose. Really, I had no purpose. Like, I had listed those people out, but I had no purpose behind what my connection was and how I could provide value to them. And so I stayed in a shell. Everyone else was there with somebody else. They had like a partner that was with them, a team, somebody. I was there solo, bro. And I let that get in my head too. So I felt like everyone else like already knew a lot of the other people too. I didn't know anybody.
Like, they were bringing their spouses or like business partners?
Business partners.
Okay.
Some of them, their business partner is their spouse, but business partners. And I was solo. And people look at me and they'll think that like I'm an extrovert. I'm an introvert, bro. Like, when I'm in a setting like this, I'm pretty vocal. When I'm on a stage speaking to thousands of people, that's my comfort zone. But if I'm in a room networking, I am uncomfortable as fuck.
But sometimes I like being solo when I go to these events or any social gathering because it forces me to go meet people versus if I come with like a team member, let's say, well, now we kind of feel comfortable because we already know each other versus, hey, I better go shake some hands because I don't know anyone here.
I love that mentality, bro. That's one thing I would switch then. I would switch my mentality because that was not my mentality. I felt like, beautiful.
I told Grant when he came on the podcast at the end, I was like, next time I want to go. He's like, all right, next time you're invited. And,
I love it.
And I threw your name out there. But yeah, if he hosts another one, man, I'll be so grateful if I'm invited, man. I'd love to connect with.
We're going
a lot of
together,
you guys.
bro.
Yeah,
we're going together. We're the same flight. We're going together, bro.
Yeah, I'll be down.
That's it.
Let's do it.
Yeah. So, man, I can't remember how we even got down that track of thought.
Yeah. So we were talking about your first deal on the multifamily side, and you're talking about how you got connected with Dave Lindahl. But what was that first deal?
That first deal was a 20-unit deal in Birmingham, Alabama. And it was I got it off market directly from the seller from a direct mail campaign that I did, and it was just a baby deal, dude. I didn't raise any money on that deal. I had here's how I structured it. It was $339,000 all in. Mm-hmm. I had to do a $50,000 down payment. I did that from a credit card that I had 0 interest for 12 months, and the rest from a hard money loan, which is a hard money loan at 9%, which is a pretty good hard money loan.
Yeah, especially today.
Yeah, bro. Yeah. That was my first deal.
Wow.
And
$339,000 for 20-something units.
20 units, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Why Birmingham, Alabama? Because I did my first deal in Cincinnati, and even
Yeah.
today, people are like, "Oh, why Cincinnati?" So I was like, at least for me, it was like easy to wrap my mind around, and then the numbers and like okay, like an area like Cincinnati and Birmingham as well. It's like they never really boom, right? So it's probably never going to bust, and it's probably like a safe place to put. At least for me, that was my mindset going into Cincinnati. Like, this is going to be a safe, easy, deal for me to get into, where I'm probably not. It's going to be hard for me to make a big mistake.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I saw it. But why do you go into Birmingham?
I went into Birmingham because it was cheap. It was cheap. I was terrified to raise money, bro. Like, that was a huge mental stumbling block for me. And so what you just said, like barrier to entry, like it was easier to wrap my mind around the numbers. It was. And my story that I kept telling myself is like, once I have a deal, it's going to be way easier to raise money. Once I have an apartment, then it'll be easier to raise money. And it is. But it's still, it's still nerve-wracking. So I went there because I wanted to do that to get something in my portfolio before I started raising money. And I do think that's powerful, by the way. I do. Like, before raising money, if you're going to raise money, you better be able to understand how to take care of money and grow money. You better be able to do that. If not, you have no business raising money. Like, raising money is a huge responsibility. You need to understand how to grow and protect, and just protect capital.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, for me, I'm like, I want to be able to sleep good at night.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of deals that I would do if it's my own money.
Yeah.
But most of those deals I would not do with investor money. I don't mind losing my own money, but I want to be able to sleep good at night. I will not put my investor money into specific deals because at the end of the day, that's a slice of that person's hard-earned income and time that they're never going to get back.
That's it.
Right?
That's exactly
so
it.
What do you suggest for these folks that are, newer into multifamily? Do you actually recommend to them to go do a deal with their own stuff, their own money, even if it's a smaller deal, and then go raise money for the next one?
No, I tell them to partner. I think that people should partner. If you have some money, even if they have money, I believe that they should still partner and do deals that make more economic sense and from a risk profile.
Like joint venture with someone?
Yeah, or so raising money, sure, but finding partners that on the operational side more than anything. So I'll tell you where I learned the most. I learned the most not from mentorship programs, even though that was powerful. Mentorship programs get me in the room, bro. That's it. They give me the connections. They get me in the room. It gives me knowledge too, but it gets me in the room. I think people look at mentorship programs wrong. I want to learn. I want to be mentored. Don't get me wrong. I'm learning all the time, bro. I've learned a ton from you. Every time we talk, I learn stuff from you. I just told you today things that I have implemented from what we talked about at the dinner almost a year ago. It's crazy. It was almost a year ago.
Yeah, time flies.
Always learning, right? Always growing, always learning, always growing. It keeps me in the room. But really, the real learning is coming from doing. So I believe education is just putting you in a position to actually be confident enough to execute. Most people just get the education or don't execute, though. So my learning comes from executing. So I believe, like, my biggest learning has been with partners. So I partner with people that have a different strength than I do. So my weakness is their strength, and their weakness is my strength. Now we piggyback off each other. And one of those, for example, is I'm good at raising capital. And I'm good at raising capital because I'm a good communicator and I love people. And I take it seriously, like it's a responsibility. And then but operating, like the operations of asset management was not my skill set. It just wasn't. So I partnered with somebody's multiple people, that was their skill set. And I learned it on the deal live with them going through it. I believe it's the best learning environment. So that's what I would tell people to do.
If you're brand new though, how do you know what your strengths even are? Is there a way to identify that?
Yeah, that's a great question, man. Yeah, I believe there's 4 basic key roles on a multifamily deal: raising capital, sourcing the deal, sponsoring the deal, and then asset managing the deal. Very few people are going to be sponsoring a deal in the beginning. Pretty much nobody, if it's their first deal. Asset management, I literally don't believe that very few people, not anybody, because I don't like absolutes. And there's some people that maybe have been in property management, so they could be a good asset manager. But most people are going to focus on raising capital or sourcing the deal. Or underwriting is another one, okay? So those skill sets are a little bit different. Raising capital, they need to understand the numbers, but they're not the one who wants to sit down in front of a computer and grind through a spreadsheet all day. Somebody who's doing acquisitions need to also be relationship-based. They need to have high-level communication, but they need to, at a deeper level, understand business strategy and also the underwriting. So You look at those two basic key things. Like, are you a numbers person or are you more a relationship communication person? If you're relationship and communication, you should be raising capital or dealing with brokers. If you're a numbers person, you should probably be underwriting and or working on the asset management side.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. And I know for me personally, I love people. I hate numbers.
Yeah.
And so, for me, I'm naturally, I love talking to brokers. I love the art of like sourcing deals. And then I love raising money.
Yeah.
So for me, it was always acquisitions and raising money. Whereas my partners early on, they were better at more of the back end stuff, the analytics, the asset management. And so that's kind of how we structured our partnership. So I guess that makes sense. So I guess it's a simple question. I never thought about it like that. Are you good at numbers or do you like talking to people? It's usually not both, right?
Yeah. And it's usually not. Some people are rarity like that. But bro, I'll tell you, in all my businesses, my team doesn't submit. So I sit at the top of my businesses and they send me these reports, right? They don't send me a P&L. They don't send me a spreadsheet to look at the data of the numbers. They send me graphs. I have to see it visually, bro. Like numbers to Ryan, my partner, and Todd, my other partner, numbers tell them a story. Numbers make my mind go numb. I literally just look at them and I just get overwhelmed. Now a graph, if I can see it from a high level graph and I can see trends, well now what I'm good at is strategy. Okay, I see these trends and I'm also an ultimate optimist. And so I just believe that no matter what the struggle is, no matter what the dip is, no matter what's going on, there's a solution to it. I just believe it to my core. It's like, what's the solution? And I gear my mind in that direction. So they'll send me graphs. And it's like a joke with my leadership team of, I have to see it visually, bro. Mm-hmm. And sometimes that's like we bring in a new director of finance. And he's going through these numbers with me on a spreadsheet. He's like, bro, my COO, her name's Rowan. She's a beast. By the way, she just dropped a book called Unbecoming. So anybody listening to this, go grab her book, Unbecoming. But she's like, no, hey, you don't want Tyler. This don't work for Tyler's mind. Like he needs graphs. So now he puts everything in graphs, man. And it helps me a freaking ton to just be able to see it from a high level and then execute strategy.
Yeah. So. I'm the same way, man. I'm like, what do they call it? A photographic memory. So like, I like to be able to see I would need to visualize things, right? So I agree, man. I feel you on that. So I want to switch gears a little bit. So with the cap rate environment right now on the multifamily side, obviously we're in a high interest rate environment. And if I'm a betting man, cap rates are probably increasing, especially on the multifamily side right now. What do you kind of forecast over the next 12 months or so in terms of interest rates and where cap rates are going to go?
Hey guys, real quick, the only way this podcast grows is if you guys share it and review the show. So if you do find value, if you could take 2 seconds and drop a 5-star on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, it would mean the world to me. But more importantly, it will help us reach new audiences and help more people build wealth through real estate investing.
Yeah, I think that, so cap rates have risen, interest rates have risen. But honestly, when I started in the space, like, dude, if I could underwrite and get a deal to pencil out at a debt piece at 6.5%, I was pumped. That's pretty much where we're at. We're very close to that right now. It's the cap rate that's the issue, because usually when interest rates rise, cap rates follow, but that hasn't been the case. Interest rates have risen and cap rates have stayed pretty compressed.
Because transactions are slowing down, is that why?
Yeah. Well, dude, there's a gap. There's a gap between what the seller wants and what the buyer wants. Mm-hmm. The buyer wants a higher cap rate. The seller is still trying to sell off of a cap rate from 2021. Mm-hmm. And so they're struggling. So somebody who's selling right now. So you asked, what do I see coming down the pipeline? I do think that cap rates will rise, but I also think that interest rates will go back down. I think everybody thinks that it's going to be a longer term for those interest rates. I don't believe that. I believe the election comes up. When's the election? A year from now?
Yeah, fall of next year.
Put it on the note right now. You're going to start to see interest rates start to drop around election time, because that's what happens typically around election time. So that's my forecast. They'll start to drop a year from now, and you'll see a bunch of money flood into the market. And I already want to be in that market already to capitalize from those things. And I obviously am in that market.
In addition to that, and I agree with you, I think in addition to that, I just think with where rates are today, I would be shocked if they're at this current level a year from now, just because it's not sustainable long term.
No, dude.
It's already been quite some time. And so, I I think we're going to start to see some give. I mean, the Fed came out today. They had their Fed meeting and they said, "Hey, we're gonna put another pause to raising." They did this back in June and then they continued, but I don't know. Inflation's coming down, and so I think that we'll see some give. Now, all these folks that got into the floating rate debt back in 21, 22, early 22, before the rates went up through the roof. I mean, a lot of the smart money was going that direction because the Fannie Freddie loans had a 1% prepayment penalty.
Yep.
And we had a couple deals like that out in North Carolina that we had to refi into perm debt. And we refied earlier Q1 of this year into some fixed rate debt, about 5.5% assumable. Nice. Where's the fixed rate debt right now on acquisition?
Yeah, so bro, we had something like that too. So we exited a bunch of real estate in 2022 right before the rates dropped. We exited, I think it was like $99.6 million of real estate.
Right before the rates went up?
Right before the rates went up. That was a blessing. And then we rolled it into other deals, but we know what we're going into and we get long-term debt on those deals. But we had a couple deals that were the adjustable rates as well. And we're in the process right now of refinancing into long-term debt.
Yeah.
We're actually not even refinancing. What we're doing is we're pretty much buying it back from ourselves so that we can benefit from bonus depreciation again. So we're just buying it back from ourselves, really.
Yeah.
Which is beautiful. But rates right now, we're about to lock that rate in at right around the same. It was just under 6%. So just under 6% for 10-year term. So
yeah, that's an interesting model that a lot of people don't talk about, where you basically sell it, you cash out the first set of investors, bring in a new set of investors, reset the depreciation schedule.
Yep.
What's the name of that? Capital
expenditures?
No, not CapEx. Shoot, there's a name for it. I can't think of it off the top. But that is a unique strategy, like some people do, but a lot of people don't know about it.
Bro, I'll tell you.
Like Brad Sumrock does that a lot, right?
Does he? I didn't know that.
That's what I heard.
I don't even know that, but I'll tell you how we found out about it is we had to. Once again, I just said, like, what's the solution? Bro, the deal that we're doing right now, like literally right now as we're talking, like it's going to close and like, we're finishing everything up in the next couple of weeks, October 1st. That's been a challenge, bro. Like a challenge. It's been the biggest challenge of a deal that we've ever had in our portfolio, ever. So when challenges happen, some people shrink, some people rise. And you see people that will be backing out of things. They just walk away from something. Well, dude, we just talked about how the last thing I want to do is something like that. Because I would rather lose my own money than somebody else's money. Mm-hmm. Like, we got to find solutions. So we put our heads together and we figure out solutions and ways to get it done. And when you do that, what's crazy to me is when you truly do that, bro, my job is not to know all the answers. And I don't know all the answers. But I'll tell you what I'm very good at is surrounding myself with people that can give me potential solutions, and I'm good at choosing one with definiteness. Okay, this is the one that we're going to choose. Let's go. Ryan's very good at that too, my partner. So Ryan has been grinding, bringing solutions, and that's like, that one, let's go. When you do that and you execute with just definiteness, like just with...
What was the biggest challenge with this transaction? And by the way, it's called a recap.
Hey, there we go.
Sweet. Yeah, recapitalization.
So then, see, there we go.
What was the biggest challenge with this transaction?
Not doing what I just said, honestly. So we got to the point where we knew our loan was expiring and we wavered. We're like, man, okay, should we refinance? Should we sell? Should we do a recapitalization? It was like, we just wavered for too long. Then we had to pay for an extension. And then we still wavered for a little bit. It wasn't until we actually just made a clear decision of, yes, let's do this, that things started to just make more sense. Because we were trying to just be in multiple areas and not, hopefully, hey, if this one doesn't work out, I have another one over here. I actually don't believe you can have a plan B in a situation like that. You need to choose a direction and go all in on that direction. Because if you are wavered or if you are indecisive over two, well, you're gonna find yourself in a tough situation.
So with this recap, I imagine the property still had some meat on the bone and some more room to grow the NOI. Is that right?
Yeah.
With the two deals that we refied, one of them's a 150-unit townhome community in Greensboro called the Arbors. And with that particular deal, like the rents just keep going up. And so even though we were in floating rate debt and we had to refi a fixed rate debt, with a much higher rate, I think our intro rate was like 2.7 on that deal. We had a 200 basis point rate cap. And with the interest reserve, the lender required reserve, and then the rates going through the roof, our debt service went from like mid-20s to like in the 80s per month.
Yep.
And we had to pause distributions for a quarter. This is Q4 of last year. And with that particular deal, we grew the NOI so much because there were townhome style units, and there's not a lot of townhomes in that area. We were able to do a cash out refi, return some money back to the investors, catch up on the distributions, and then resume the distributions. And so with that deal, even with the higher debt, we're going to hold that thing because it's still got a lot of room for growth. The rents just keep going up organically. But with this other property that's kind of down the street, Timber Creek Apartments, it's garden style, also in Greensboro, 145 units. We were able to refi that. We didn't have to put money in, but we weren't able to pull money out.
Yeah.
And we kind of feel like we recently decided with that deal, we've kind of maximized kind of like the rent growth through the value add, the business strategy or plan. And so that one has assumable debt at 5.5.
Nice.
And so we're like, you know what? With the rates where they are, the Fed just put a pause to them. Let's look to maybe exit right now. And that assumable debt right now is attractive, right?
No, totally.
In a year from now, it's not going to be attractive.
How much is still on how many years are still on the loan?
It's a 5. I think it's got 4 years left of IO, 4.5 years.
So enough time.
Yeah, there is enough time. It's a newer loan. So we'll see. Yeah. So we'll see kind of how that one shakes out. But the other one, it's like, dude, the rents just keep going up. So we're like, let's hold on to that one.
But this is the beauty of the game. The beauty of the game is really looking at your properties at all times and figuring out risk return analysis. Does it make more sense to hold or exit? What makes sense, right? Can I exit now and get the returns that I should, or should I hold it longer? And if I hold it longer, will my returns go down to my investors? It's like you always got to be looking at that and figuring out what the best decision is,
But like we were talking about cap rates, and buying right now, and where we think rates might be a year from now. I think as long as you hedge and we do this with the hotel stuff, we'll assume the cap rate at exit or at refinance is going to be much higher than what we're buying it at, right? Mm-hmm. And so, I think where a lot of people got caught in the multifamily side back in 21, early 22, was they were getting very aggressive with their assumptions. And one of those assumptions is, what's your exit cap rate going to be?
Yep.
And so some folks were anticipating, a flat exit cap, or just increasing the exit cap by maybe 10 basis points each year.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's pretty damn aggressive.
Super
when
aggressive.
The rates were at an all-time low
Yep.
in American history. So I think today, what are you telling your folks out there in terms of exit cap rate and what you should assume?
We usually go a point above. So if I'm buying at 6, we're going to exit at 7.
Over a how many year hold period?
Over a 5-year hold. Okay, now here's the thing with this though, because I believe right now, this is where I think it's so funny, bro, because we fall into the same traps over and over again, right? When the market is going gangbusters, everyone wants in. Everyone wants in, and then they buy at the top, and then they struggle. Well, right now, when there's turmoil in the market, when there's blood in the streets, this is the time to buy, because now as interest rates have risen, if you can find a deal, if you can get a deal to pencil out, and bro, we've only done 2 deals this year. That's it.
That's still pretty good.
It's great, and they're great deals, though.
That's pretty good.
You want to know why they're great deals? They're great deals because the only people that sell in a recessionary state are those who need to sell. That's the only people who sell. So when somebody needs to sell, dude, they're in trouble. They need help. I'm not cheering for anybody to lose their property, but people will lose their properties. And at that point, you can come in and solve a problem for them. And if you can make a deal pencil out at the rates now, this is how we built and grew our wealth the way that we did, because we bought when interest rates were higher. Then the market started to take, so when things were a little bit slower, then the market starts to take off. So interest rates start to come down, cap rates start to go down, which means these properties we already owned, as the cap rate started to go down, dude, our exit prices are going up. So we were able to drive it. So if you're able to pencil something out now, dude, and then rates go down and rates and cap rates go down, bro, you can maximize. But so many people are on the sidelines because they're worried about that.
Yeah.
Right.
I agree. And the other thing is, right now, there's not a lot of buyer competition compared to where it was in 21. Right?
Huge difference.
And, because there's bad news in the marketplace, the interest rate environment's high. And so there's a lot of people that are just on the sideline. But in addition to that, I think a lot of those operators that got into floating rate debt and were not fortunate enough to refi into fixed, they're taking it in the chin right now. And those folks are not buying at the moment.
Yep. They're just trying to survive.
Yeah. And all those investors that, maybe haven't been getting distributions because of, their debt service. Well, they're not going to go back to that same investor group and raise more money right now. Right. Yep. And so those people, they can't buy.
Yeah.
And so for the folks that can, And the ones that are hungry, I'm like, well, if you find a deal right now, now's the time because you don't have a lot of competition.
That's it, bro. I have more broker calls now, like meaning brokers calling me, than I have probably since I started the business. Like every day I have multiple voicemails from brokers trying to reach out to bring deals. That's powerful. Super, super powerful. And so why don't we all know the recessionary state is where you can, like the best deals come, but why don't more people buy in a recessionary state? One, fear, because they hear all this news stuff on the news and they buy into it. So it's fear. Instead of focusing on numbers, data, facts, they let fear get in the way of that. And then number two is money. You have to have money to buy in a recessionary state. See, the last few years, money has been plentiful. Mm-hmm. Dude, people are like, man, of course the properties are going to appreciate it. It's like they're just pouring money into multifamily. Well, now those investors are listening to the same news as well. There's trepidation. And so especially if they don't have a relationship with you or you don't have anything to back it off of, or you haven't taken care of investors in the past, you're going to struggle. And so this is why taking care of investors is so huge, because when you take care of investor, I'm not looking for an investor once, bro. I want an investor for a lifetime. We've exited a deal before where we gave everything to our investors at exit, not because the operating agreement said so, but because we projected a return, and the only way to get them there was to give them all of we didn't make anything on that deal. And in that moment, our investors, it's like they didn't even like it. They're like, no, because they knew the struggles of the deal. But we said we were going to do everything we could to get them to the returns, and everything we could means everything we can. And that's giving them, but that side of it, like giving them all the returns so that gets them to
You're playing the long game.
Oh, bro, I'm in it for the long run.
Yeah.
How many of those people invested? Damn near all of them.
And then they go and tell all their friends and family, and it starts to snowball. And I think that's an important takeaway for anyone out there that plans on raising money at any point. And not just for real estate, but any business venture out there. It's like, dude, you take care of folks, even when things go south.
Yeah.
That goes even further than when things are good.
Because they know, they're accredited investors. They know that shit happens. They know that problems happen, struggles happen, but they also want to know, will you honor your word, and will you truly do everything you can, or will you just buckle when things get tough?
Yeah, absolutely. But you said a couple things, like the 21 and early 22, it was so easy to get debt.
Yeah. It
was so easy to get creative financing. Lending was much easier back then. It's definitely dried up. And then also it was a lot easier to raise capital back then.
Yep.
In today's climate, people can get 4.5%, 5% risk-free in a CD.
Yeah.
Right. And so, if you got an offering that's going to pay 6-7% right now, well, why would I put my money into that if I can get my money risk-free in a CD? However, you got the upside, you get the depreciation, all that sort of thing. And I always tell investors, I'm like, look, if you're only looking for 4.5-5%, you're not an investor for us. Our investors are looking for, mid-teen, 20% average annualized return with upside and tax benefits.
That's it.
So if you're looking for 4.5-5%, we're not going to be a fit for you.
See, your mentality right there is so good. It's because you don't have a scarcity mentality with it. It's like just your frame there. Like I feel like it's a huge takeaway for any of your listeners listening to this of what you just said, because you don't need anybody. Like need is a form of scarcity, right? Mm-hmm. So if you needed them, you just try to conform to that. But instead, you're like, hey man, you're probably not the investor for us because our investors are looking for X. You know who your investor is. Those are the people that you want. Want's different than need, right? Need is a form of, just scarcity. Mm-hmm. Want is you're going to do what it takes to get those people. Not in a scarcity base, but like literally in a value base. So it's huge. It's knowing who your investor is and then framing yourself as the prize, which is what you just did.
Yeah, 100%. And that's really good what you said as well. But scarcity creates demand,
Yeah.
But I love what you said. I mean, we're never asking for money, right?
Mm.
I think that's number one mistake when I hear people going out and raising. It's like, no, we're never asking for it. And if it's not aligned, we're not aligned, and that's okay.
That's it.
That's okay.
That's totally okay.
Yeah.
And also understand.
That's like dating. Like not everyone's going to be aligned,
That's it, dude. That's it. And parting ways is a thing it's healthy. That's okay.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean no forever. It just means no, not right now. Like relationship capital is what people should be focusing on. You take care of people and you do what's best for people, and your intention is what's truly best for them. Like my mentality going into talking to an investor is never like, God, I really, really want them or need them to invest. Shit, I would love them to invest, right? Mm-hmm. But I want to, like literally now, sometimes I'll even write this intention down before I get into a call, if it's a big one. because people will feel your intention far more than they hear what you say. And so my intention is I want to help this individual create wealth for them and their families, put their money to work so that they don't always have to work. If that is with our deal, awesome. If it's not, well, then I'm going to try to refer them elsewhere so that they can get the goal that they have, right? So that intention, that relationship capital will pay huge dividends, way more than any other capital that you'll ever invest.
That's so good. I also feel like the quicker you can get someone to a yes or a no, the better off you are. Because what are the ones that suck the time at the maybes, right? And this is anything in life. This is not just raising money. This is dating. This is friendships. This is a lot of different things. It's the maybes that suck all the time. And so the quicker you can get them to determine a yes or no, the quicker you can get to another yes. Because the yeses are wins. Yes. The no's get you to another yes quicker, right? But the maybes suck all the time. And so if you can identify it's not aligned and tell them it's not aligned, that's a huge win for you. Because it gets you closer to that next yes.
That's abundance too, because, I actually learned, I changed some stuff up with our funnel, and I learned this from Pineda, because Pineda had mentioned something similar to this where, what he mentioned was that he had a filtering process before the lead really came in. So like when the lead comes in, he's asking a bunch of questions to just filter people out so that they don't have to waste time on a phone call. Because, dude, phone call is precious time. You can only call and talk to so many people. And I was like, man, we don't do that. We pretty much went right to the call. It's okay to let them weed themselves out. And then getting the no, I love that perspective, bro, because you get to the no, it's out, and you can truly figure out who those people are. The maybes are the ones that are the time sucks, and that'll drain your energy and it'll drain your production for sure. That's huge, bro. I love that takeaway for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I'm like, dude, even with dating, like when I'm dating someone, like if I don't feel aligned, after a few dates, like, and sometimes this is just, after one, I'm like, I'll just tell them, you know, I don't want to waste their time, and I don't want to waste my time, man. Like life is short, right?
Yeah.
I
was talking to my buddy Jake Dean. I just went to dinner with him a few nights ago, and he's part of our network. He actually trains at some of our events, and he's single. And we were talking about dating, and he said that when like you'll meet a bunch of people on, an online app or something. And I was like, hey man, how long till you meet them face to face? He's like, literally, bro, I'll send them like 2 messages before okay, let's meet face to face. And if they don't want to meet, it's out. Because I can't build a relationship and truly get to know somebody just texting. I need to meet them. And if they don't want to meet, then I don't want to continue moving forward. And it's like, loved it.
Dude, I've done this a handful of times where I'll go on like a first date, and I've cut it in the middle of that first date if it's not aligned.
In the middle of it?
In the middle of the date, yeah.
Woo! Now that's ruthless, bro.
So, and this happened a few times. So I have season tickets to the Padres, baseball down here. And so I usually invite them out to the game during the season, but let's meet up for a drink beforehand. And, if I meet up for that drink and I'm like, dude, this is like, I'm not feeling it. They're boring. Yeah. We're not aligned. I'm not going to be the best version of myself because I'm not feeling it, right? So after the drink, I just say like, hey, like, we'll walk them out. I know what I'm doing in the restaurant. Walk them out, and I'll just say, hey, I appreciate you coming out. I had a really good time. However, I don't think that we should go to the game tonight. What are the chances I could call you a ride home? Yep. And, it sucks, but it's like, hey, I'm not wasting their time. They're not wasting my time. And in both of those instances, they were actually like very like respectful, and like they were like, wow. They're like, I've never had someone be so direct, but also like so polite at the same time.
I love it, bro.
And then, you know what? And then it's a win for me because I get to go, whatever, do my thing. I don't waste their time. And I don't know. So I think the more direct I am with all aspects of life, the more I realize like, I need to do this more.
Yeah.
And
why don't people do it? Why do you think that most people won't do that? I believe it's because they're nervous to hurt that person's feeling. They don't want to hurt their feelings.
But I think that's part of it. But I also think a lot of people are uncomfortable to have an uncomfortable conversation.
Yes. Totally agree. Like most people are not willing to get uncomfortable at all. I believe one of the biggest keys to success is direct conversations. Just direct conversations with the best of intention. Because your intention isn't to hurt that person.
No.
Your intention is to literally, what is worse? Leading that person on because you're not willing to get uncomfortable, or telling them how it is, like you said, and letting them actually have peace of mind that there's clear no.
Absolutely. And it goes both ways.
Yeah.
Like in that situation, if I was the other person, like, and they didn't feel aligned, like I wouldn't want them to just lead me on.
No.
I would want them to tell me, hey, like I don't feel aligned.
Yep.
And it's okay.
Totally. Yeah, bro, totally agree with that. I love that, man.
Yeah. And same thing goes with business and real estate investing and, raising capital. It's like, hey, like if I don't feel like you're aligned or you don't feel like I'm aligned, like tell me. And that's okay. No hard feelings.
It's funny because we, like on the education side of things, right? So we have an education group, or education company, and there'll be people that come to an event, and I'll talk to them up front. I don't want them in the mentorship. They're not a fit for the mentorship, not because they're a bad person. They're just bad for business, right? For our business. I know, dude. I've been doing it long enough that I know, like that person's going to be an absolute pain in the ass. Absolute pain in the ass. That's not going to be beneficial for them or us. But what's crazy about that is when you say that, and there really is this like, hey, thanks, but like it's not a fit. Man, I've seen that it's like they want it more at that point.
Yeah, yes.
Like,
no one likes being told no.
Mm-mm.
So what are a couple of like red flags that you might see to where you're like, you know what, we're not going to be a fit?
Yeah, victim mentality is, I believe, the biggest. Victim mentality, meaning everything else. So if I'm talking about their past, and listen, I believe my job is to enhance people's belief in themselves, what's possible, their abilities, all those kind of things. Like I literally believe that's my job. But they have to want to do that. So victim mentality is huge. If everything is always somebody else's fault, it's a problem, right? So if they're coming up to me, so I'm chatting with somebody at my last event, bro. Last event that I just did, just to give you this example. He comes up to me and he's telling me, this is going to sound really bad, so everybody out there, bear with me for a second. Okay? But he's telling me like his story, man, and his journey. And listen, I love to hear about people. I love to meet people, but I'm not going to listen to you just bitch about things for a long time. I won't do it. It's an absolute energy suck for me. Dude, I got 200 people in the room. If every single one of them told me all their struggles, I would fucking be drained by the end. What's energizing for me is helping people progress forward in one way or another.
Yep.
That's it, and it's energizing for them. So he's telling me all these things that are wrong, all these things that went wrong, all these things that are other people's fault. And then he's like, and then he tells me that his wife just passed away. And we're talking just passed away, 3 years ago passed away. That sucks, bro. But it was 3 years ago. And I listened to him, and at first I'm like, oh, man. But then it's 3 years ago, and he tells me how this is really stopping him from. So, bro, I literally interrupted him, and I go, so your wife passed away 3 years ago. And he's like, yeah. And I was like, so what? And he's like, what? And I was like, yeah, so what? So what does that mean for you? And it like caught him off guard, right? It's a pattern interrupt. So all of a sudden he's not expecting me to say that. He's like, well, I guess, that's why I can't do this business. That's why I can't continue to progress. That's why I can't. I'm like, it ain't a fit. You have to understand that your past can dictate your future, but it doesn't have to. At some point, you got to change the narrative in here and use that as the fuel to get you to your future.
That's so good.
That's it.
That's so good. It's like, like our time on this earth is short enough as it is. And, I always say like the best time to measure how much time we have left is months, not years. And so, if you take average life expectancy age of like 77, subtract your age and then multiply it by 12 months, that's how many months you have left. So whenever I'm struggling to make a decision, or if I find myself playing the victim role of something that happened yesterday, I ask myself that question. It makes that decision really, really easy.
That's good,
bro. But I'm like, fuck, yeah, I'm the same way, man. Bringing on team members or whatever we're doing, it's like, I'm more concerned about the future than the past.
Yes.
And yes, it is important. Obviously we're going to lose family members and bad shit's going to happen to us. And yes, grieve, celebrate them. But at a certain point, you gotta turn the fucking page.
You have to.
And to use that as motivation.
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, a lot of those folks, I'm lucky enough, my parents are still alive, but one day they are going to pass. And I know that they're going to want me to continue on my journey. They're not going to want me to just sit and give up.
Totally, dude.
Right?
You know what that comes from? That comes from you have the mentality. I believe that we have that mentality because we have actually had struggles, had hardships, and we've overcome them. And then those hardships still come, and we overcome them. We understand that a situation in the now, when the now is magnified, stress is magnified, anxiety is magnified, hope decreases. But when we act in the now and magnify the future, well, now hope increases. Dude, that's religion 101. If you think about it, religion 101, do what is good today and tomorrow you'll live in paradise. That's religion 101. If you can operate your life the same way, where whatever happened like yesterday, it doesn't matter. I'll tell you for me, one of the biggest shifts in my life was when I had kids. And the reason is because it changed my relationship with God. Like I'm pretty spiritual, but I'm also very hard on myself, bro. Very hard on myself. So I would make a mistake. I would do something and I would just beat myself up. Feel like I'm not worthy of whatever it is, you know? Well, then I have kids, and my little boy Paxton, he was my oldest. I have 2 kids.
How old are you kids?
Paxton, he's 8, and Marley, she's 6.
I love that.
And bro, kids are the best. But it gives me this different perspective because Paxton makes a mistake, right? The minute that he is just like, man, sorry, I made a mistake. And he tells me the learning lesson of what he would do different. I literally I do not care about the mistake at all. I just want to help him now move forward past it. Mm-hmm. Dude, the amount of love I have it's crazy how much kids bring a lot of vulnerability because they bring so much love. But that changed my relationship with God because I believe that I am a son of God, which means when I make a mistake, God doesn't want to punish me. God doesn't want to just make me suffer in those kind of things. He just wants me to get the learning lesson. Did you get the learning lesson? All right, let's move forward. Mm-hmm. There's not a timetable to being able to move forward. You decide when you move forward, man. Like this, I believe a new day is one of the biggest blessings we have. You think about it, like if everything just continued to move forward and no break, it would be exhausting, dude. But a new day is like, it's a refresher. It's a new start, right? It's the beauty of a new day. You can restart. Well, you can restart every single day. You don't have to wait a month. You don't have to wait a year. You can restart within the day. If something's not going right throughout your day, and Strat's here with me, he works in my office, he can attest to this.
Shout out to Strat.
Yeah.
We love Strat.
Strat's a beast, man. He's a beast. He does all my video content. He's a total stud.
And shout out to Nico too.
Nico as well, for sure. Man.
Next time you got to bring Nico out.
I know, man. Yeah. Nico needs to come out. Nico, the energy you feel, email, phone, and it's only amplified in person, bro.
The best emails that we receive are from Nico.
Yeah, they're awesome. Huh?
Alex is like, hey, we got to put Nico's emails on our wall in the bathroom.
And dude, for real though, they're
very
poetry,
positive,
man.
So positive.
Yeah. Incredible. Business is hard, bro. I know you know that. There's challenges. There's times where I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? Mm-hmm. And I'll have tough conversations. Like at the position I'm in now, I feel like people just bring me problems all day. My job, but that's my job. My job is to find and help find solutions to those problems, right? But there'll be days that I'm just like, fuck, it's just not going good. I'll take a break, bro. I'll turn my lights off. I have a little mask that I put on. I'll lay down on my floor. I'll take a little 10-minute nap, restart. Or I'll run to the gym, get a workout in, 30 minutes, run, whatever it is, restart. It's like you can restart whenever you determine to restart. You don't have to suffer in the shit that's going on. You can change it as soon as you determine to.
That's so good. Yeah. Well, you were telling me last night at dinner about the Netflix story, how like you don't watch Netflix, but you're going to bed around 9 o'clock at night. You threw on a show. Next thing you know, it's 1:30 in the morning or something like that.
Yeah,
like, I didn't get any sleep.
That's it.
But you had the restart.
Yeah, and the next morning, I sleep through my alarm because I got no sleep, and now I have to go to the airport. And so in my mind, I'm like, fuck, man, this dumbass decision last night is now going to affect my day to day. But I believe this is a separator between those who are successful and those who aren't. It's just how quickly you pivot. So it's like, no, fuck that, dude. I'm not going to let it affect my day to day. I'm going to go for a quick run. I literally take my pre-workout, pack up everything as quickly as possible so that I can go on my run. I didn't even shower, bro. Went on my run, quick run. Like, dude, it's 15, 20 minutes for me to get my run in, and I can skip my shower. I can shower when I get to the hotel here in San Diego. But that set me on a whole new, it pivoted me, right? It redirected my energy, and I was super productive yesterday, but I wouldn't have been had I not done that, right?
Yeah.
Get back to the basics.
Yeah. How do you, like with a lot of these folks getting into real estate investing, and one of the biggest things I see when someone's trying to do their first deal is they're going to friends, coworkers, family members for advice on how to do their first deal, and they get talked out of it, unfortunately. Yep. And so then 2 years later, I run into these same folks, and they're like, oh, I'm still working on that first deal, but I put it on pause because life started happening. I got busy, started having kids. So I guess, what do you say to those folks that they want to go? Is it because they don't want it bad enough, or is it because they're just not around the right people?
I mean, it can be, I love that question, dude. I believe it can be a mix of both, right? Your environment is important, but I also believe that you are stronger than any environment you're in. And if you just study people, Viktor Frankl is an example. He was stronger than the environment he's in, right? You know who Viktor Frankl is?
No.
I can't remember the name of his book right now, but he was in the Holocaust. a concentration camp in the Holocaust, and he survived that because of the narrative in his own head. When the narrative is in his own head, you know what it was? It's exactly what I mentioned earlier, which is hope for the future. He continued to visualize and picture himself not dying here, but he continued to visualize, man, what I'm going to do when I'm out of the concentration camp. What am I going to do here? And he never lost that hope. And that hope continues to move you forward. So I believe it's a mixture of both. Who you're around is important. And my rule is this: if you're always taking energy, you don't exist in my life. You just don't. I'm very conscious of energy. I just am.
What's an example of someone only taking energy?
Always negative, always complaining, always nitpick, always talking shit on other people. Because it's very rare that they'll ever talk shit like on me in front of me. On other people, though, that's draining, bro.
Yeah. Well, and if they're always talking shit on other people in front of you, you're going to be the next.
100%. And I know that for sure. So those kind of people that just are always focusing on the problems, not the solutions, people who always play the victim card, people who just don't want growth, man. Like those people are an energy suck for me. Excuses, all that kind of stuff. They just don't exist in my life. It's a survival tactic. It's not because I'm mean. It's because it's like literally a survival tactic. I have to separate. So it's both. Okay, but why do I do that? In like to ring around or bring back the other point, it's because failure is not an option, and my why is big. I told you, coming full circle in the beginning when I was talking about I feel like and I felt like this for a long time. Like my job is to change the narrative for my family. That's my job. That's my responsibility, dude. That's my responsibility. And in order for me to live up to that responsibility, I need to be able to respond. Like you think about responsibility, that's your ability to respond. And it's like, I have to, in order for me to do that, I have to magnify my mindset here, but I also have to make sure that I'm surrounding myself with the right people. Because if not, I won't be able to respond the way that I should. So it's both, man. You got to change your circle. And so many people want to change their circle before they're strong enough to change it. See, you have to be willing to risk the relationship to grow so that you can then go back and pull somebody back up. Because you're never going to be able to truly impact people until you've impacted yourself, right? You have to put yourself in a position or else you're never going to be able to, but that's the problem.
And you'll never get to that position with your weakest link.
That's it. Ever.
Yeah, and so you have to have that tough conversation.
You have to, man. I can't.
So how do you give someone the confidence to do that? Because I mean, and I that was one of my biggest takeaways. And I had to cut one of my best friends. Just throughout the years, as it became more and more negative and judgmental, all the things that you alluded to, and then started dating someone that was even worse. And so then it made this person even worse in that regard. But I just found myself walking away from these outings, like just kind of feeling down and kind of shitty. And so I just knew that it was no longer aligned. And so like one of my biggest takeaways in my adult life was like, just because you were best friends with someone your entire life doesn't mean you need to be best friends with them tomorrow. And, if you're not aligned with someone, I think it's so important to just cut it. Otherwise, you're never going to reach your full potential,
Ever.
Yeah, ever.
I believe your question was, how do you give somebody the confidence to do that?
Yeah.
And we've mentioned this a couple times throughout the conversation, but we've mentioned abundance, right? Scarcity or abundance. And I believe that I really believe it comes down to abundance, because when you think about cutting somebody off, you think it's permanent. I actually don't believe it's permanent. And I also doesn't mean that I have to be mean to them or that I have to, that's not serving for anybody. It means they don't jeopardize my time. They don't jeopardize it. And my narrative that I play is, hey man, my why is so big that it's bigger than any one person. It's bigger than me. It's bigger than anybody else. It's bigger than anything. So if I have to remove this person so that I can get there, well, then maybe I'll be strong enough to come down and pull that person back up. And then maybe when I do that, they'll be inspired enough to change their life. But if I just stay here, I'll never be able to truly change them. And I love people. So my narrative is, this is huge, but I actually have to literally cut and hurt temporarily so that I can benefit for the long run.
Now, that if that person that you left is not rooting for you, is it your obligation and duty to go back and pull them back up?
I don't.
Because at a certain point, it's like, well, you got to keep moving forward, right?
Can I give you an example?
Yeah.
I'm going to leave out names and some details, okay? But we just had a separation within our organization that, it was a tougher one because there's a lot of history, right? A lot of history. And a lot of people, I think, may go like for the knees, like go to cut them off at the knees. It's really hard for me to even explain it but I don't believe in that. Here's what I believe in. I believe that it's my job to leave everybody in a better position than I found them. I believe love. Like, I just believe that. Like, invest with aloha, what that means, bro. Aloe means to see. So aloha, a lot of people think it just means hello, goodbye, or love, or whatever. And it does. But really what it means, aloe means to see, and ha is breath of life. So when I say aloha, you'll notice that when you go somewhere and somebody says aloha, everybody says aloha back, right? Like at church I go to, anybody giving a talk will stand up, they'll say aloha, everyone says aloha back. Because what I'm saying when I say that is, man, I see the God in you. I see the greatness in you, but it's reciprocal. I see the greatness in you, and I know that you see the greatness in me. And you may not realize it, but I know, I just believe this. Like, if I see the greatness in you, you're eventually going to see the greatness in me. And if I see you, that you're not living up to the greatness that's within you, to the God within you, then breath of life, I'm going to breathe life into you. Now, what that looks like, sometimes breathing life into you, this is where people get it wrong too. Sometimes breathing life into you is cutting you out and letting you struggle. Now that sounds, how is that breathing life into somebody? Because some people need that in order to actually step up, in order to level up. If you're always bringing people along, that's a form of entitlement. Entitlement will never help people progress. It's not doing things for people. It's weaponizing with people and giving them the power to do it for themselves. And how do you do that? It's aloha. That's true love. Love isn't passive. Love isn't just, oh man, I'm going to do anything for you. Love is, I love you so much that I'm going to tell you to get the fuck out of here. And when you're back in a proper mindset, the person that I know that you can be and are, then let's chat. Whenever you are that person, whenever you come back in, I'm gonna welcome you with open arms. But for right now, you need to leave because you're not living up to the God in you, and I don't accept that in my life.
That's so good.
Yeah.
It's okay to cut friends that are no longer aligned with the person that we're trying to become, but you're throwing a little twist on it temporarily.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been amazing to me to see as I grow how the people in my inner circle have also grown. It's amazing. And it's also been amazing to see. So when I started multifamily, bro, my buddies, I'm on a text chain with all these buddies. And, they're my buddies ribbing me, giving me shit. I get it. But it was like, oh, Deveraux's going to be an apartment investor. Okay. Yep. Yeah, he's going to buy an apartment. But just giving me shit, right? And I love talking shit. But it was impacting me. This is the beginning of my journey, bro. I was like, fuck, can I really be an apartment investor? Like, my confidence isn't where it is today with that.
Right.
Like, I had to remove. I literally left. And that was like, it wasn't an easy thing for me, bro. But I left off the text chain and separated. A number of those people work for me today. They work for me today, and they're in the apartment space and they're crushing. Not because I went down and searched them and pulled them back up and just stayed there. No, it's because I was able to separate. They saw that, oh my God, look at the changes he's making. Maybe I'll try to make those same changes, see if it'll improve my life. And they did, and it did. Yeah. Then it's like, let's go.
I love that. I haven't thought about it from that light, with that twist of like, hey, this is just a temporary thing, and you can go back and rekindle that relationship if it's aligned, if you want to.
That's it.
But I will say not all of them are going to be aligned.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope. That's okay.
Yeah. And that's totally okay.
Yep.
Because at the end of the day, man, life is short. You got to keep moving.
You got to keep moving. Growth is true happiness. Anything that is prohibiting your growth forward, you have to cut it. That could be a job. That could be a relationship. That could be a habit. That could be whatever it is. You got to cut it. Because true happiness is constant progression.
That's so good. That's so good. Who would you say is like your one or two most inspirational people today in the real estate investing space? Like, who are some of the guys that you look up to the most right now? Or gals?
Yeah, I love it. So Cardone is a beast. Going to his, and I didn't know him before. So going and meeting him live and having more of an intimate setting and seeing truly how he structured his business was It was
How did he get in contact with you? Like, someone reached out from his team, or how'd that work?
I have a relationship with a gentleman named Steve Harward from his company is called Prime Corporate Services.
Yep, we work with Steve.
Do you?
Yeah.
Shout out to Steve. I love Steve.
We love Steve.
Grateful for Steve, man. Steve is the one who told Pete Vargas. You know Pete Vargas?
No.
Pete Vargas works closely with Grant. Pete Vargas does the 10X stages with Grant, the speaking stuff. So Steve talked to Pete about me, and that's how I got looped in and brought in.
Gotcha.
So,
okay.
yeah, Grant didn't know who I was, but Steve did. This is why relationship capital is huge. Steve knew who I was. Steve knew what we were doing. Steve then tells Pete, and then Pete makes sure that Grant gets me at the event.
Yeah, I love that. So anyway, so Grant's one of those folks.
Grant's definitely one of those folks and he gets a bad rap because he's very vocal and he's very polarizing. But I'll tell you how he structured his business and what he's been able to do is, bro, it's incredible to me. And his growth is incredible to me. So that's one of them. Dave's one of them. You know, Dave is an OG, dude. He's been around, like he is one of the OGs in the space. And once again, I would never be where I'm at without him. And so learning from him continually I love that dude.
What is he doing these days?
He's still investing in apartments. Yeah, and he still has his program and everything. We send tons. He just did his event here, by the way.
Oh, really?
In San Diego.
Interesting.
Dude, we had hundreds of our students at that event. Like hundreds of our students at that event because, dude, Dave's a beast. So Dave is one of them. Pace Morby right now. Pace Morby is doing some pretty incredible things. We've talked about Pace a little bit.
Yeah, love Pace.
He's doing some incredible things in the space, man. Everything that he's doing. Vina Jetty is another one. Do you know Vina?
I interviewed her on the old podcast. This is years ago. She's out of the Texas area, right?
Yeah.
Multifamily syndicator.
Yep.
She's crushing it. Yeah, I'd love to get her on the show sometime. What's she been up to?
She just crossed $1 billion.
Really?
Yep.
A billy.
A billy.
Wow.
Whew. $1 billion in assets, man, which is that's my next like benchmark. That's my next threshold. So she's great, man.
You ever talk to you know Joe Fairless personally?
I don't.
No?
I've actually never met him.
I feel like he's kind of quiet. Like
he's
for
very
everything
quiet.
that he's doing. I think he hit a billy too in apartments.
Nice.
But
I love his book though.
What's that? Oh, his book?
Yeah.
Yeah, the red book.
Yeah, the best ever syndication book.
Yeah,
or
that's a
whatever.
good book. That's
Great
a really good book. He's got a good podcast too. I think best ever apartment investing podcast, but he's not really like on it too much.
Yeah, as a
these
partner
days.
or something.
But I'm like, fuck, that guy's pretty quiet. Like just behind the scenes, he's not really on social media.
Yeah.
I was just curious. I always thought his story was kind of inspiring. Like I think he went to school, right? Graduated college. He was like working as like a marketing dude out of New York, making like $35,000 a year when he did his first apartment deal.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And I think it was like in 2015. And so he went from literally making $35,000 a year, didn't own any real estate, to $1 billion of assets under management from 2015 and to now.
Dude,
that's pretty inspiring,
that's the
right?
same time I started. Bro, I got to step up my pace.
Yeah.
Shit.
But it's even more impressive that he's doing all this and not doing a ton of content. Not a lot of people know who he is.
Yeah, it's behind the scenes, just his book, you know. But yeah, I don't know him personally. So what about you? Who are some that stick out to you?
I would say like there's like 5 right now that I kind of look up to. So I would say Pace Morby, Grant Cardone, Pineda.
Oh, Pineda's another good
one. And Hermosi.
Oh, beast.
And then I would probably say like Patrick Bet-David.
Yeah.
And so I kind of like, and yourself included, you've been inspiring me since day one.
Thank you.
And so I always like study these folks, how they act, how they put out content, what they do, stuff like that. And I think it's important to always, kind of have a group of folks that you look up to, and inspired to be. And maybe it's not in real estate investing, maybe it's in whatever form of business, or maybe it's not even that, right? But I think it's important to have that group of people that inspire you, that you look up to and kind of model after, and that's how we get better, right?
Totally, bro. Another one that would come up is Brandon Turner is another one for me. Brandon's a beast.
And you guys both live in Maui.
Yeah, he lives in Maui. So I'm going to ask you a question, because those people you just mentioned, because I think that this could be a huge takeaway for people. But I'm curious for you. Those people you just mentioned, you look up to them, you aspire, but then how do you connect with them? How do you put yourself in a position to connect with them?
Mm-hmm. That's a good question. So out of those 5 that I mentioned, I only know personally 3 of them, and that's Grant, Ryan, and Pace. The other 2, I don't know. It's funny because like I have not met Brandon Turner personally. I have not met Hermosi or Patrick Bet-David personally. And for me, I'm kind of like, you know what? At this point, I'm just like, I'll meet them organically when I meet them. Because I know at some point we will, right? At some point, they're going to know who I am. I just know that. And so right now, I'm not really like pursuing to go like meet them, but maybe I should be. I don't know.
No, bro. I think that what you just said is so powerful, though. It will happen when it will happen, and you'll know when it's time to connect. So it's like, that is a mindset in and of itself. It's not, sometimes we look at these people that we look up to and we think that there's this huge freaking gap to the point where, man, maybe it's like, I don't know, will they even want to meet? But your mentality alone is huge. Like, you know, it'll happen when it's supposed to happen. I love that.
Yeah.
For me, dude, you're one of those people that I love to connect with. Like, I invest in your fund.
You did. And thank you for that, by the way.
Thank you for that, bro. Like,
that was random. You just like hit us up like a few weeks ago, and you just invested in our fund, man.
Well, it was random for you, but it wasn't random for me.
Yeah.
See, because I believe money is nothing more than a tool, right? And by me investing in your fund, well, that gets me on your radar too, right? Mm-hmm. You know who invests with you. Like, you, at least I know who invests with me, but I know you know.
Yeah.
And so, but I'm investing because I want to return on my money. So first off, I need a return on my money. And I know you know that.
First and foremost, yeah.
But it's like, dude, but it's also, it puts me on your radar. Brandon Turner stuff. I just signed up for his mentorship. Why? Because it puts me on his radar. Money is a tool. And if you can use that money to build relationship capital, bro, that's a beautiful thing. Mm-hmm. So I'm part of a bunch of mentorship programs. I invest in a bunch of different people's deals. How do I do that? I do that because I want them to know that I believe in them. And then it'll also happen organically. So it's like, I see what you're doing. I want to be a part of what you're doing. And I don't just say I want to be a part of it. Like, dude, I'm going to come in and I'm going to be a part of it. And it's going to happen organically when it happens. I believe the same thing.
Dude, that's so good, man. That's so good. And I mean, it's the power of like all these like communities, masterminds, and like networking events. I mean, there's so much power out there, but I love that you do that. But yeah, part of me is like, man, like some of these guys, I'm just like, you know what? We'll connect when it's meant to be. Like, you know, I was at the Bigger Pockets conference a year ago here in San Diego, and Brandon Turner was there, but it's like thousands of people. It's like, that's not the time that I'm going to meet him.
Yeah.
You know, I'll meet him when it's meant to happen, you know?
You want to know what's interesting? That was the first time I met Brandon.
Was that one of the BP events?
No, at that one you're talking about.
Oh, really?
But I didn't go to that event. Here's what happened. I was traveling with my family. And remind me, that was in December. Was it December?
It was October of last year.
Whenever it was, I was traveling with my family. I can't even remember where I was going, but I know I connected. Oh, we were going here. We were coming here because we spent some time in San Diego, and then we went up to LA, went to Disneyland, and all that kind of stuff.
And it overlapped with the conference.
Yeah. So I didn't go to the conference, but he was on the same flight as me. But here's how this happened. I was at Cardone's event a couple months earlier. Ryan Taseko, you know who that is?
No.
It's like Grant's like go-to guy he's Grant's right-hand man on the investment side of things. Also a beast. Well, I meet Ryan. So this is a huge thing, okay? And Ryan has no idea that this was big for me, but it was big for me. I meet Ryan at that Cardone event. I say I'm from Maui. He's like, oh, do you know Brandon? I had never met Brandon yet, but I know Brandon. Everyone tells me, oh my gosh, you should meet Brandon. Oh my gosh, you should meet Brandon. I've never met him. He's like, oh my gosh. Pulls his phone out, takes a picture of both of us, and then sends it to Brandon and says, hey man, you got to meet this dude. So now there's this connection too, right? We know the same people. And Brandon's like, oh man, yeah, I got it. Well, then like a month later, I'm at the airport. We're flying to San Diego, and he comes up to me and he's like, hey, man, everyone tells me that I should meet you. And I'm like, oh shit. More people tell me that I need to meet you, bro. I promise you. But that happened because Ryan took the opportunity and was selfless enough to take a picture of me with him and send it to Brandon so that I was on Brandon's radar. Bro, that's so powerful. That's the power of being in the room. Those little connections start to piece things together. It's powerful.
It's so good.
It's awesome, man.
Relationship capital, man.
That's it.
So you moved to Maui in what year?
In 2019.
How come? Obviously, I know it's beautiful, but you know.
But it was the dream, man.
Yeah.
My dream, my number one major motivator, bro, is time with family. Like, that drives me. I want to be there. Bro, I just want to be there for everything, man. And so me and Britt, when we first even started like getting serious about marriage, we talked about that we wanted to move to an island and spend unobstructed time with the kids before they got into school. Because once they have school, they have their own schedules and it's harder. So the plan was just to be there for a year. We lived in Austin. We loved Austin. We were just going to move there for a year. I had just hit that threshold of what I would call financial security, where I have enough assets to cover liabilities. So I could just go and chill for a year, which was awesome. Go there, plan was to move there just for a year and just spend unobstructed time with kids. But we were there for like 2 months. My wife said she already knew immediately, but it was like 2 months in where I was like, I don't think I can ever move away from here.
That's so cool.
And one of the things that is one of the most, I don't know, meaningful things, I guess I could say, is my wife was meant to live there, bro.
How so?
My wife is the most loving, caring, giving, laid back person on the planet. And she has that heart of gold where it's like she just wants to help and serve. And Maui is very small. It's a very small community. And she worked before we moved to Maui. She was a physician's assistant, PA. And so we both were working and growing and grinding. And the deal when we moved to Maui is that no working. And all of a sudden she found this, like our just so you know, that was 1,000 units in 2019. We just crossed that. Well, bro, now we have 4,000.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that's happened because my wife no longer works. I believe my job is to produce. My wife's job is to utilize that money for the betterment of other people. I look at us as not a storehouse for the money, but the money just flows through us. Like it's literally just flows through us. So it comes in. My job is to produce it. My wife's job is to put it to work. And I believe as we do that, the minute that I let that bog up, and the minute that we stop using it for the betterment of other people, is the minute that the flow of money coming in will stop. I just want to be a flow of resources. And my wife is that person that she uses it in the most selfless, best ways possible all over the community. And right now with what's going on in Maui, that's obviously very important. It's needed out there. And so my wife was meant to live there. The Hawaiian, Maui is so special to us because the culture is amazing. The values are amazing. And we respect those values, and we are visitors on that land, and we are freaking so grateful to be there, And my wife is the one who really helps us show that gratitude, and I believe that my job is to produce and then, man, pass it down.
Dude, I love that, man. So with all the fires and everything that were going on recently out there, how's everything kind of recovering so far?
Yeah, dude, it's crazy, bro.
Were you guys on the island when this went down?
So my wife was, and I was flying home that day. So so it happened that night. The next morning, I'm flying in. And so I wake up to, bro, messages and text messages. And I was like, I was in LA and I was panicking. I really was, because I couldn't get a hold of my wife. My wife her phone was on silent, sleep mode. Everybody in my neighborhood evacuated. But my wife didn't, because her phone was on sleep. Like Strat and Nico, they evacuated, right? Or you were packed up, ready to go. So I was nervous. But luckily the fires didn't hit our side and they didn't come down as far as we were. But the other side is destruction, man. And let me tell you what I learned during that time. This is where my wife's a beast, okay? This is where I tell you that we have the blessings we do because of my wife. I get home, that's let's say it's a Wednesday. Thursday, my wife is like, hey, it's time to step up. What are you going to do to help over there? And I was like, oh. Because I didn't know, bro. I didn't know what to do. Strat and Nico are the most amazing people, bro. They, day one, they're already going to churches. They're already looking at, they're already organized. Before anything else is set up, they're setting stuff up. They're amazing people. But my wife's like, hey, man, you're in the forefront here. People are looking at you. What are you going to do to stay? She's not saying that to be in a bad way. She's saying that because she sees the God in me and she knows what I'm capable of and she needs to empower me to go do it. And so, bro, I went and did it. And we did tons of service. We've been able to do some amazing things on the island to help give back. And that's been incredible. But what's been incredible for me is not the service that we've rendered, but the service that we've been able to get from rendering service. Seeing people and how resilient they are, how powerful they are as people, and coming together as a community, bro, it's been incredible to see them do that. So here's the thing. I love Maui, bro. And anytime I travel and I give somebody the hotel my ID, or I meet somebody that asks me where I'm from in Maui, it's always been like, oh, God, congratulations. You know?
Yeah.
Now it's like, oh, man, you think the government did this shit? Like, that's the conversation.
People really saying that, huh?
Oh, bro. No, it's like,
what's the conspiracy behind that?
that's what's crazy is I don't even know I don't know those conspiracies because I don't even get caught up in it. I don't. I get caught up in solutions, not problems. I can't control what other people do. I can only control what we can control. And I'm an ultimate optimist. I don't want to believe that people are that evil. I don't. We were also out there. We knew that the wind was crazy. It's dry. Shit, it can happen. But getting stuck on that's never going to solve it. What's going to solve it is hope for the future, like we talked about earlier, right? And we can be part of that hope.
Dude, that's powerful, man. What's your wife's name?
Brittany.
Shout out Brittany.
Oh, she's the best, man.
So moving forward, man, what's next for you? What gets you the most excited as we kind of look out over the next 12 months or so?
Amplifying other people gets me really excited. Like, I believe that there are things that we're in this position now where I'm starting to transition into different roles. And that means other people have an opportunity to step up. And it's exciting for me to see those people step up. It's also exciting for me to do new things that scare me as well, you know? I want to start speaking more keynotes. I want to start really like growing the business relationship-wise. I've been so focused on growing both businesses that I've very much been in the business. Now I need to take a deeper look at the strategic plan of the business. But what gets me most excited is what's to come. Like right now, we are building out our systems, which is the tiring process because it's building out the systems, knowing that you're going to grow. It's like I'm starting all over again, I feel like. It's almost like you improve your systems because you know what's coming. We're still doing deals, but we're improving the system so that when these opportunities come, we are ready to pounce on those opportunities. And I know, bro, that by doing that, yeah, we'll freaking 10x, triple, whatever, get to our $1 billion goal. Our $1 billion goal was to get to that by 2030. I believe we'll reach it far before 2030.
Do you think that we're going to see a big price reset in multifamily real estate over the next 12 to 24 months?
In a negative way?
Well, yeah, in a negative way. Are we going to see a 20 to 30% price decrease over the next 12 to 24 months? Because I would consider that substantial, wouldn't you?
Substantial.
Yeah.
I think some assets are already there. I think it depends. If it's an asset that's being run properly, no. If it's an asset that has problems, yeah. See, people in 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021, they would overpay for a deal that has problems because they're banking on they're just banking on the back end equity growth. They're just banking on it. Right now, people aren't willing to do that. They need to buy for cash flow. So knowing that they need to buy for cash flow so that they can actually pay the debt, so that they can grow this thing, they're not buying off of speculation. They're buying off of cash flow. So if a property is performing well, dude, there's not going to be a huge reduction. But a property that is not performing well, I believe that is definitely a reduction and less amount of people who are willing to take that on, which means the price has to come down.
Yeah.
Those are the ones, but that's where the opportunities are, right? So, yeah.
Are you guys seeing, I know on the boutique hotel side, there's a lot of these baby boomer owners that are kind of mom and pop type of sellers, especially in the 10 million and under range. And they're starting to retire and they have some tired assets, right? And they don't have a lot of marketing and they're not using technology. So I see it as an opportunity. Are there a lot of mom and pop sellers right now just from that generation that are starting to sell their multifamily deals as well?
Yeah. So I love that. It's crazy you just said that because our target has always been, well, not always, but as of recently, 100 plus units, really 150 plus units is what we're targeting. Now, we're actually targeting deals that are a little smaller than that, 50, 60, 75 units. It's because who owns those? Mom and pop owners.
I saw the deal that you put out on your Instagram recently. You did a reel on it. By the way, I encourage all the listeners to go follow Tyler at Tyler_Deveraux. But it was like a 40-unit deal or something like that. You bought it, held it for like 18, 24 months. You guys did like massive return. Tell us a little bit about that deal.
Yeah, man. So bought that deal. Love that deal. It's called the Cedars.
Okay.
Bought it for 1.1. It's in Charlotte, North Carolina. Bought it for 1.1 million. Put 55,000 in capex in. Do you know who we bought that from?
Who?
A owner who was tired. An owner who had owned it forever. Literally developed the property, held on to the property. He had never exited any of his properties. We bought a bunch of properties from this guy.
How many units?
that we bought from him.
No, this particular deal.
This one was 40 units. And so 40 units.
And you had already done multiple deals with him.
No, this was the first deal we did with him. So here's what's interesting too. We didn't want to do that deal.
But you know it lead to more.
But we knew if what we thought, we didn't know what we didn't know, but we thought we knew something.
Yeah.
Like this could be a huge opportunity, right?
Did you guys have other stuff in Charlotte at that time?
Nothing in Charlotte
Okay.
yet. Nope. This is the first deal we did in Charlotte.
And you didn't want to do it because it's too small?
It's too small.
Yeah.
We were targeting bigger stuff. But we knew, I believe sacrificing the short term, as long as there is benefit in the long term, you have to be willing to do that. This was a sacrifice. And I know it sounds crazy to say it's a sacrifice to buy a 40 unit deal, but it was. It was. But we knew the relationship, once again, relationship capital that could turn into. Buy this 40 unit, 1.1 million, put 55,000 in, sold it 18 months later for 2.6 million, which is great returns. It was like 135% returns to our investors over the span of 18 months. But what happened from there was way bigger. We did the 40 unit, built a relationship with this seller. That then led to a 315 unit, then a 415 unit, then a 70 unit. We were the only buyer that we call him the old man, and we have a good relationship with him. He knows we call him the old man. Mm-hmm. We were the only buyer he had ever had at that point. And then we took a little break. That's right when I moved to Maui. And so it's like those small things lead to big things. 40 to a 315, 415. It's like, those are some of our best. That 415 we just exited. We bought that one for $24.75 million. And let's see, $24.75 million in 2019. Exited, so 3 years. 3 years later, we exited that one for $53 million.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a double.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah. That's crazy, man. And it's a testament to, like, obviously, like, you guys, your character, but knowing how to build out those relationships and kind of earn that trust from that seller.
Well, I got to give a huge shout out to some partners, because we had some partners on that deal. Greg and Lisa Parrish. They're the ones who initially formed the relationship, and then we helped. Really, we strengthened each other. They had some solid. We wanted to get in North Carolina, into Charlotte specifically. They were already there. They already had good relationships, but they didn't raise capital for deals, so they were doing smaller deals. So there's what they needed help with is raising capital. We were great at raising capital. We just needed bigger deals. So we piggybacked together, and we've done thousands of units with them, and it's been beautiful. So,
did that relationship with the seller, did that lead come from broker, or how did that relationship? It was a broker.
Yeah,
wow.
It was a broker relationship that then his name's Nate. So shout out to Nate as well. Mm-hmm. Grateful for him. And yeah, that led to a relationship with the seller.
What is the biggest key to building a relationship with a broker and kind of earning their trust, in your estimation?
Understanding that they have needs too, right? They have needs. Like when I'm talking to a broker, sometimes we get so caught up in what we need. Man, I need to get these returns. I need to get this. I need to pencil out. I need it at this price. Well, I just want to flip the seat. I just call it switch seats, but I want to switch seats and be like, what do you need? Because what they need, first off, they want to partner with, they want to take this deal down with people that can actually close. So performance is big, that are easy to work with, meaning they actually do what they say, and that they need to also represent themselves well to the seller. They need to get the seller what the seller is needing so that they, once again, their credibility is continuing to be. So I'm trying to find win-wins, and I literally want to find win-wins. So if there's a way that we can structure the deal, get creative to make it a win for them and us, you don't need to chop people off at the knees. I believe in this business to get a good deal. You can actually make it a win-win to be able to come in and implement your business plan, but it's because these properties are valued by the income. So if you have a solid business plan that you can go implement, it can be a win-win on both sides, right?
Yeah, that's so good. I always say, like, the only way a broker gets paid is if the deal gets to the finish line.
Yep.
And they've spent sometimes decades building these relationships with these sellers, and finally the seller is finally willing to sell. And if you're a brand new buyer to the marketplace, well, and that broker's putting up some risk, choosing you as the buyer.
Yep.
And so you better prove out that you're going to be the person that can perform. Otherwise, they risk that relationship with the seller and lose that deal potentially. If you cannot perform, maybe you can't raise the money, or maybe you back out for whatever reason. Yeah, it's not going to be a good look. But yeah, dude,
that's such a great perspective. They've been working for decades to build those relationships to be in this position. So you even just look at it from that, like, man, you got to be that person that's going to get to the closing table. They put trust in you to get to the closing table. I love that perspective. I never even thought about it like that, but it is though. They put themselves in this position for decades to be in that position. So dude, the 40 unit was a test. I mean, if you'll do this, we can explore. We knew the owner had thousands of units in Charlotte. So yeah, do this one. And if you guys can get this one done cleanly, we'll explore others.
Yeah.
I didn't see it from that perspective at that point. I was like, fuck this.
What's the best deal you've ever done?
The 415. Yeah, that was a home run deal. Yeah. I call it the 415. It's called on 20th, but that was a great deal.
That's the one you bought. I don't know. That's the one you bought for the 24 and then sold it for the 50?
Yeah. That was a great deal.
How much did you guys put down on that deal? Ballpark, like a percentage of the 24, right?
Yeah. How much did we raise?
Yeah.
8.5.
So you turned the 8.5 into basically a $25 million profit ish.
Yeah.
It's crazy. In 3 years.
In 3 years,
wow.
Yeah. It was
Think about that.
Big. But man, our deals in Colombia were.
Did you guys line up another offering for the investors
when we exited?
When you guys exited,
yeah, always. We always anytime that we're going to exit, we always. So one of the things we do when we go exit, the broker that is going to sell our deal, you're going to sell the deal. Yeah, if we have a past relationship, maybe you brought us the deal, but you're going to sell the deal because you have another deal for me to go and buy.
That's so good.
If you don't have another good deal for us to buy, you're not going to sell my deal.
That's so good.
Yeah. Go find a great one and we can talk about it. Yeah. So, yeah.
And so ideally, will you get the up leg under contract and then they get the listing?
It goes in
kind of simultaneously.
Yeah. Simultaneously.
Yeah.
Yep. So.
Is there a way to do that tax deferred for the investors?
You can 1031 exchange, but we didn't. So in 2022, we exited just shy of 100 million of real estate. Not a small number. We didn't 1031 exchange that. We cashed everyone out. And we cashed everyone out because we could benefit from bonus depreciation. And I don't know what taxes are going to be tomorrow, but I know that right in 2022 was the last year you could benefit from 100% bonus depreciation. And that was powerful enough by taking it here, rolling it into another investment that would offset most of the tax liability so that nobody had to get in the 1031 exchange rat race. We didn't have to force them to roll over. They could invest a portion, all of it, whatever made sense for them. And we could all, once again, win-win.
Because it's kind of an all or nothing thing with the 1031, right?
Yep.
Like almost all the investors have to do it for it to work.
Yep.
And so as long as you close on the next one in the same tax year or calendar year, then they can use the new depreciation to offset whatever they choose to, correct?
And that was another big thing too. In that moment, you think about 2022, when we literally exited, I'm not joking you, right before all the rates went up. So we had already been negotiating everything way before that. But then rates went up it was great timing for us and our buyer, for sure. But if we were in a 1031 exchange, now all of a sudden we may have, because there's these time constraints, right? We may have justified, and this has happened a lot over the last little bit, people would overpay for something, not because it made the most, because they would rather overpay and bank on equity than cash it out and pay the taxes. Mm-hmm. Like that could have been something that we did is overpaid for a deal. But what we were able to do is cash out, knowing that we're going to have a deal, and we had a couple that we knew that we were going to take down one or two of these, and then bring everybody back in there. And that's when we started our fund, so that it was just easier for people, and we could actually buy a deal that penciled out and made sense, multiple deals that penciled out and make sense, instead of trying to rush something in an environment where it might not make sense to rush something. So,
bro, I appreciate you taking the time to come on, man. It's always a pleasure to connect, dude. And I'm just so inspired by like everything that you're doing, man.
Thank you, bro. Thank you for having us out here. You guys have such an amazing team, Rich. Like your team is awesome. So much hospitality that you guys have shown us. I appreciate that, bro. So thank you for having us on.
Of course, dude. I got to, next time I come out there, we got to connect out in Maui.
Done.
And have to meet Nico and everyone else on your team, man.
Yeah,
but,
done.
Dude, I appreciate you, brother.
Thank you, bro. Appreciate it.